What are the implications of having military operations recorded in the form of video that is then shared on social media? What I first observed to start my whole project and report was that there's an increase of real military combat situations and demonstrations that have been captured on film and that have been uploaded to YouTube. So this is just everyday YouTube users creating their own content and uploading their own footage of these real combat situations. This whole concept has been presented by US military leaders and doctrine makers as a product of a concept labeled the multi-domain sphere. Now, what is a multi-domain sphere or multi-domain operations? Well, initially called a multi-domain battle, the term started out as a concept to describe the future of warfare and has since become a reality. Now, what we're looking at is an aspect of the multi-domain sphere referred to as the information domain. Four-star Army General Robert Brown stresses the importance of joint operations in these spheres between all armed services, providing strategists a menu of service options against an adversary. The synergy or communication between these services is instrumental when fielding attacks in different domains. The goal is to be completely unpredictable and non-linear, confronting the enemy with a variety of dilemmas, and that's a quote from Brown himself. Now, what does all this mean? Well, it means that the main reason we're seeing this type of content, all these military videos being uploaded on YouTube and not taken down, is because itself has become part of the US military and its allies' battlefield. And they're competing against outside influences, all of which are competing in an information war. An example of what happens when one side fails to engage in the cyber domain of warfare is in the case of Jenin. What I'm referring to is back in 2002 when Israel embarked on a military campaign to root out entrenched Hamas terrorists in the West Bank of the Palestinian occupied territory. Dennis Murphy goes on to say that the entire operation was a significant strategic failure from the IDF's point of view, the Israeli Defense Force. As they had restricted media entering the city, they weren't able to enter the information sphere, and this left the militants occupying the city complete free reign over this sphere, and they then proceeded to use their cell phones, because that's what they had access to, in taking photos and videos and uploading these images, and news reporters and journalists were only able to use these images and the content that was being recorded coming out of the city on these cell phones to tell the story of what was going on. These interviews spoke of massacres that occurred in the city. While later disproved, these claims caused international withdrawal of Israeli support. This is an example of how the information sphere can have a real impact on the political environment of a country and the world. This is also happening currently with the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict. Right now, and over the past few years, Russia's been taking over broadcasting networks from Ukraine. Russia is engaging in the cybersphere, or the information, and spreading the message that they are in fact backing the Russian-speaking Ukrainians that reside in East Ukraine in this civil war. However, Ukrainian parliamentary members have come out saying that this is in fact not a civil war, and that 70% voluntary soldiers that went over to fight these invaders are Russian-speaking Ukrainians. Here are some examples of videos that we found on YouTube. So what's the impact? The real implication lies with the fact that real countries, like the Ukraine, have been invaded by another country, but because of Russia's use of the cybersphere, which primarily consists of a network of social media, in my case focusing on YouTube, the UN isn't able to put an immediate stop to the violence, loss of life, loss of freedom, and even possible loss of identity and sovereignty of a nation. As I've mentioned earlier, incorrect facts and reports can be fabricated, a type of fake news, and that has real-world effects. In the case for Israel, back in 2002, their global support was withdrawn as a result of their perceived actions. This not only harms international relations, but also left Israel open to possible attack from neighboring countries without the threat of possible international intervention.